Annyeonghaseyo, welcome to the Land of Korean Cinema. Today is request time again. Let's talk about the 2020 drama movie Please Don't Save Me or Naru Kuhajimaseyo. The English title is a direct translation. The movie stars Cho Sayan, Chae-roon, and Yang So-min. Cho Sayan plays a young girl who had lost her father, moved to a new apartment with her mom, and started attending a new school. She's very shy and reserved, but very smart and talented in a lot of ways. Chae-roon's character is her classmate and is a bit of a troublemaker, although unintentionally. They're seemingly total opposites of each other, but opposites attract each other, right? This movie is a prime example of the fact that Korea has the best child actors in the business. Both Cho Sayan and Chae-roon surprised the heck out of me. It's very much their movie and my god did they deliver. But the writing has a lot to do with that. I reviewed a movie called The Little Princess not too long ago, and one of my complaints about it was that the dialogues between the children felt very unnatural. They spoke and acted like adults, and it was really bugging me. It's a good movie though, and I still recommend it. When it comes to Please Don't Save Me, it's a completely different situation. The children in this movie may be a bit more serious than kids would be in everyday life, but I never felt like they were fabricated by a writer at the desk. Everything they say, everything they do feels very natural and appropriate to their age. But that doesn't mean they lack depth. Quite the opposite actually. So the writing gives a perfect foundation for the actors to shine, and as I said, the two child leads just blew me away. In every way. They were funny, they were very likable, they had good chemistry, and their dramatic edge is surprisingly deep. I especially liked the boy's performance. He was a tad bit mischievous, but I would never call him a bad child. And when he does something bad, it's not because he wants to, it just turns out that way. It's quite funny actually. And he's got a good heart. This film is worth watching for their performance alone. But there's more, of course. I don't know much about the creation of this film, but it seems like it was made for HBO. The budget must not have been very big. This is a pretty small-scale movie and is deeply grounded in reality. But despite this budget, there's still some pretty good cinematography to be found here. For the most part, this is a pretty good-looking movie, especially when the sun shines. And trust me, you need that sunshine because the sad moments are really sad. And very subtle at the same time. My favorite scene in the movie was when the family's friend comes to visit, and you can tell that she loves the mom and the daughter. But she came to say that she's not gonna visit them anymore. And it's heartbreaking. But the movie doesn't make a big deal out of it. There's no obnoxiously loud, sad music, no melodramatic slow-mo sequence, it's just a very uncomfortable conversation. It was incredibly well done. And then later I realized that the budget of the movie might have been cut short because the creators had to pay a lot of royalties to BTS. Because Chae-roon's character sings Spring Day in the movie. I don't know how royalties work in Korea, but usually in cases like this you have to pay royalties to the artist. And BTS must be really expensive. Now I'm gonna mention some of my problems because I want to end the review on a high note. There are things about the moms and daughters past that remain a bit of a mystery. We know certain things, we learn a couple more things, but you can tell that there's some history there that the movie pretty much ignores. Which is a bit sad because the ending could have been even more powerful than it was, but more on that a little later. So my first problem is that the movie doesn't delve deep enough into their past. The second problem is the pacing sometimes. There were definitely some moments where I felt like the story wasn't advancing. It felt like we're running in circles without a clear destination. Eventually I was wrong, thank God, but I think a good 5 or 6 minutes could have easily been cut from this film. And it's not a long movie, it's only 90 minutes I think. Also, I would have loved to see the two child actors interact a little bit more. Their relationship is very well done, don't get me wrong, but a little bit more bonding between them would have elevated the film a bit more. Also, I can't deny that I was pretty much bored in the first 10 minutes. This is not the kind of movie that grabs you right away, at least that's how it was for me. Do you know when did my boredom change? When Cho Sayan smiles for the first time. It was a pretty funny scene anyway, and I was like, oh, so there may be a silver lining to all this after all. I really can't explain it, but it felt so good to see her smile, because up until then she was very serious and sad. It felt great. So I really enjoyed the chemistry between the two child actors, I enjoyed the dramatic bits, but because of my aforementioned problems, I thought I was gonna give this movie 70%. And then the third act happened. I'm not gonna tell what happens, of course. All I can say is that it was truly, truly beautiful. It was very touching and very effective. And I'm not saying it was happy or lighthearted. It was just simply beautiful. It made the whole movie better. Me saying earlier that knowing the past of the mom and the daughter would have made the ending better is still very true. But I still loved the ending. It made the whole movie worthwhile for me. But you know, this is a simple drama movie, so don't think it was a huge action scene or something. This is not that kind of movie. It just made perfect sense. So because of the ending, I'm gonna give Please Don't Save Me 80%. It's far from being perfect, but there are so many things to appreciate here. If you like dramas, give this one a try. And lastly, I would like to thank Tember Nim for recommending this movie for me, as well as countless others. 잘 지내고 있으시면 좋겠어요. 계속 좋은 영화를 추천해주세요. 여러분, 오늘은 여기까지만 해요. 영상 봐주셔서 감사합니다. 영상 좋아하면 구독해주세요. See you very soon. 다음 시간에 만나요, 여러분. 안녕히 계세요. Bye!